Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends. How are you? My name is Abdul Khalik. Dear friends, almost all of us are all of us. We have so many of the regrets about our previous life. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? That was not handled properly. This is not handled properly by me. I could not do it the right way. I lost and I suffered the losses. I suffered the pain and I suffered the humiliation, the disrespect, the disgrace, dear friends. We are of the view that maybe I was not intelligent enough. I could not tackle that situation. I could not respond in an intelligent manner. This is the reason that I had to regret and repent later on. That is why I do have to feel like I was a loser and somebody was a winner. I disgraced myself. I was disgraced and disrespected. What is actually the reason? What is actually the situation? After a kind of careful consideration by the intelligent people, by the researchers, by the psychologists, it appears like we shouldn't have participated at all. We should have just walked away instead of participating, instead of responding to a kind of insulting remarks or something which was not so simple, rather was complicated enough. My dear friends and fellows, look, everything else is not worth responding, everything else is not worth talking about, everything else is not worth participating about. What I have seen, what has been observed, that the intelligent people they simply walk away from many of the situations. They don't participate in that at all. So they people are actually intelligent enough, capable enough. So for all that reason, they opted not to participate in that at all. So I think there are enough number of situations like this one where it is far better, far more important not to participate, not to respond, not to answer those things, whether respectful or insulting. After a careful consideration, certain things have been unlisted here, 15 in number. 15 things have been unlisted here, which it is far better not to participate in those situations at all, rather to walk away, simply to walk away from those 15 situations which we have enlisted here. And it will save us, it will protect us from many of the harmful situations, from many of the harmful, disgraceful consequences. We will be able to save our respect and we will be able to avoid so much of the discomfort, displeasure, disgracefulness, disrespectfulness as well. What are those 15 situations? Let's talk about each one of these one by one. First of all, it is when the relationship becomes toxic. When the relationship becomes toxic, it is far better to leave that relationship, not to carry it on anymore, not to carry it on anymore, rather to come out of that sort of, to come out of that sort of relationship. It is far better to totally abandon the toxic relationship, not to respond whatever the people are saying, whatever insulting remarks, whatever sort of thing they are talking about, they are seen doing, not to respond no matter what kind of those remarks, those questions, what kind of those things are. Simply steer clear of all those things. And the number two is when there is no room for growth, when stuck in a rut, when there is no room for growth at all, you are not growing at all. So in a situation like this one too, I think it is far better simply to come out of that, because you are not learning, you are not growing, you are stuck in a rut. So steer clear of that, not to stay there anymore at all. Now the third situation, when you are winning an argument, when you are winning an argument, it is far better to leave, because winning the argument, apparently it might seem good, but as a matter of fact, if at all you are winning an argument, it means that somebody feel that they have been defeated. So the defeat, they will try to take the revenge, or they will try to harm you in any other way to get equal. So it is far better, if at all you are winning an argument, it is far better to leave that place, to steer clear of all that. And now the fourth is when your values are compromised, core values or beliefs are compromised. You are amongst a group of people, you are with one other person, or even if at all you are alone. If at all your core values are compromised, your beliefs are compromised, I think there is no reason at all to stay more over there. And it is far better to leave that place instantly, not to be there anymore at all. Now, the next is the fifth is when the stress outweighs the reward. When the stress outweighs the reward, when there is more stress and little reward, the little expectation of the reward and the little reward, but there is more like mental stress, tension. It is really important to leave that place. And now the sixth is when you are not appreciated, when you are not appreciated, when you are not liked and loved, when you are not respected, you are not appreciated, not to be there anymore at all. It is really important to leave that place as soon as you can, not to be there anymore. Now, the seventh is when it's time to forgive and let it go. When it's time to forgive and let it go, forgive them and let it go. Just leave that place. Forgive and let it go. Forgive and let it go. It is really, really, really good. And do not stay, just forgive and let it go. And now the eighth is when you are only holding on out of fear. When you are only holding on out of fear, you are continuing only because you don't want certain things to happen. You are continuing it only because you don't like the outcome. If at all you leave it, even in a situation like this one, it is far better to leave, not to stay and to bear the consequences. Bearing the consequences, you are not interested anymore, but simply you are continuing out of fear that this might happen or that might happen. Now the next is the ninth is when it's affecting your self-esteem. When it's affecting your self-esteem, when it's affecting your self esteem, happiness, and well being, when your self esteem is at stake, when you are disrespected, when you are humiliated, when you are not treated properly, you feel like your self esteem is at stake, you feel like your self esteem is being hurt. It is really important to leave that place as soon as you can and not to continue it, rather to walk over from there. Now, the tenth is when the journey becomes more important than the destination. When the journey becomes more important than the destination, mean the destination is not important anymore. Rather, because you think you are continuing it for one reason or for another reason, not because of the destination. When the journey becomes more important than the destination, do not continue it at all when the journey becomes more important than the destination. And now the 11th is when it's taken for granted, when it's taken for granted, you are not valued, you are not respected, you are not considered important, you are not being given a due weightage when you are you are taken for granted. Leave that place, leave that place when you are taken for granted. Leave that place. And now the 12th is when the same mistakes are repeated again and again. When the same mistakes are repeated again. When the same mistakes are repeated. So that is again a time to leave the place and not to stay there at all. When the same mistake is repeated by others against you, when the same mistake is repeated, so it is the time to leave that place. And now the 13th is when it distracts from your goals, when it distracts from your goals instead of supporting your goal, instead of supporting your goal, it distracts from your goal. It is pulling you, pushing you away from your goal instead of bringing it closer to your goal. So that is also a reason, that is also a reason to quit, that is also a reason to leave, to walk away from here as soon as we can. Now the 14th is when it no longer brings you joy, when it no longer brings you joy, it is not enough to endure, only causing stress. If at all it is causing stress instead of bringing you joy, it is causing stress instead of bringing you joy, I think that is also the time to leave that place and that spot as soon as we can, as soon as we can. So I think you are just enduring, you are not enjoying it at all. The time is to leave. Now the 15th and the last is when you feel it in your gut, when you feel it in your gut, trust your intuition. Usually your intuition is right. Trust your intuition. Usually your intuition is right. When your gut feeling says, although there is no argument, no solid reason, simply your gut feeling says that leave this place, come out of that, so that is again a time to come out of that. So these are the 15 situations. I think if at all we come out of that as soon as we can, the better it would be for us. And it will protect us from further trouble, from further loss, from further pain, from further disrespect and humiliation. So I think each of these 15, even if at all there is one situation out of all these 15, I think that we need to come out of that as soon as we can. Thank you. Jazakallah.